Hello, welcome back to Property Spy. This is the channel where we appraise properties that are due to go in auction in the coming days, or some opportunity we find as we go about our normal business. We appraise them, we share the thoughts that go through an investor's mind, and then come to a conclusion as to whether what we're looking at is a deal or not. We tend to use an application called Valap, and Valap is essentially a tool to help you appraise deals, stack deals using current numbers. As you know, currently a lot of build costs are shooting up because materials are becoming a lot more expensive. You do need a tool that stays on top of the game and stays on top of the numbers, and a tool that you can trust that as you're appraising will be using the very latest numbers and would adjust the different numbers for you just to keep you on the right side of that deal calculation. So today takes us to a place called Leeds in the north of England, and this one is interesting because it's a multi-unit property. It has currently has 5 flats. It is a public house. Let's see, look at a picture of the pub. All right, 5 flats. Other interesting things about it are that there's currently an income of 24,000. That's something that you need to investigate with your lawyer. Just make sure that income is valid and potentially it will still be around after you've completed a purchase. Now, looking at the pictures, they don't look great. It does look like people live in this place. Okay, this one is probably empty. The carpets, everything needs changing in there. Everything needs changing there. This again, this is a kitchen. Can't see the hub unless that's taken out. It might be standalone cooker in this place. You can see where the dishwasher or the washing machine would have been. Again, this might be the same flat. From these pictures, it looks like it needs updating. This room, what's in this? Okay, so this is completely run down, will need a lot of work. So that's the 5 flats, or the pictures that have been made available by the auctioneer. As you can see, there's a lot of work. So looking at this, 5 flats, would appraise for 5 flats and see what the income is. It may be that when we've looked at the numbers, you don't have to do anything because 5 flats, 11% yield. That's very good, or 12%. Or you might do the numbers and decide that it's worth converting it back into, or converting it into one building, or converting it to HMO. They're all different options, and Valap has got you covered on all of those. With this deal, I went to the auctioneer's website and had a read of the synopsis. And here it shows that the vendor has drawn up plans for 4 further flats on the 2nd floor. Now I can't see where to go on the 2nd floor, so it seems it would be a substantial build. If developing on the 2nd floor entails building up the walls, the side walls, and topping it off a bit higher, making it a bit higher, then that is potentially a lot of work, and you need to check the structure of the building. You need to make sure that the road can handle that additional number of flats, and find out from agents in the area whether it's the right thing to be doing for that particular street. We'd also need to look at the sort of build costs in the area and how much you could potentially get. So it tells us 4 flats. It doesn't tell us if they're 4 1-beds or 4 2-beds or whatever. We'd assume 1-beds because everything else is a 1-bed. Then we'll look at the legal pack. If you go to the legal pack, or we have EPCs, and I'd looked at the EPCs earlier. Flat 1 is 48 square meters. Flat 2, 37. That's really, really low, really small. Flat 3, 53. Flat 4, 56. And flat 5, 38 square meters. So that's really tiny. So this is flat 1, energy rating is C, so that's 48. Flat 5, 38 square meters. So that's really tiny. And then, begs the question, if the flats are that tiny, are the 4 further flats going to be just as small? How are you going to manage to do 4 flats across that same footprint? So those are questions you'd ask. You'd have to make an informed guess. These are 4 flats. Oh, okay. There you go. So they're all 1 beds. We don't know what the measurements are. It would be good to see the current floor plan for the 5 flats, because the flat 5 EPC says as that's the ground floor. One of the EPCs says top floor flat. It's flat 4. So does that top floor mean this attic space right at the top, or does it mean first floor? I suspect they mean that attic space. Flat 2 is ground floor as well. Okay, so with the numbers or figures that we've got, we know that the total floor area of the building is 232 square meters based on the EPC. The EPC can be can be wrong sometimes, and they're not always accurate, but we'd assume that they're accurate for this exercise. So 232 square meters for all the 5 flats, and then generally when you build flats, you'd have to leave some space for the communal areas, so the stairs and anything else that all of the flats would rely on to at the very least gain access. So 15% is what industry standard is. So if you add 15% to the 232 square meters, you get 266.8 square meters. So I got 232 by adding all the square meters for each of the flats, so the 5 flats. So we've got 232, then 15% is for the communal space. You add that to 232, you get 266. So roughly we make it 270 square meters. So 270 square meters is the space, the footprint of this current building. This doesn't include the 4 flats that the vendor says that he might want to get planning for. So with that in mind, let's go to Valap and do some figures. So the postcode is LS12 3TN, and that's 336 LS12 3TN. Okay, let's start stacking. So when you log into Valap, you get onto this page, you start stacking, you come onto the dashboard, we do add new appraisal, put the postcode, it searches, gets you the information. So it's 337 or 336. Okay, 336. So these are the flats. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let's go with the inn. There's a Chinese restaurant next door. So 336. Property status is auction. It's commercial. 200,000. So what I've put in here is the guide price. And I'm going to mega stack, just save. So 336. Yeah, so 336 is right at the top, and there is no. Okay, there is no floor area on this one, so it'll be interesting. Just put 1 bed flats for now. And the total floor area will be 270 square meters. and we do get appraisals saying, okay, quite a few greens, so it's only new build that wouldn't work. So you could do a flip, gross development value 581, offer amount 313, you get a return on investment of 74k. Be interesting to see what the flip shows. Then look at buy to let. The flip doesn't assume minor works, but looking at that diagram, it seems there's quite a lot to be done. HMO, if you converted it to HMOs, you can get 15 units. So the income on here will be quite nice if the area could support HMOs. So let's look at conversion. The reason I picked conversion is it seems to be the option that would require the least amount of work, and you wouldn't have to change much in the building. You just handle the building the way it is. So we go for more. So here it's saying number of units 1. Needless to say, you couldn't possibly sell the building just by itself as one 5-bed house. So we can modify this to reflect what we want to build. So we add another flat, number of beds 1, change that to 37 square meters. We'll change this one to 48. This one. Okay, let's get a price list for this one. We use sold prices, so get sold price 48 square meters. Okay, even if we use a top figure, let's use a top. Let's assume we maximize the price. So we get the top here. So we do this 5 ways. Flat, so 1 bed, 53 square meters, number of units 1. Let's get the sold price. Add row, got flat again, 1 bed, 56, 1. Let's get a sold price. Use the top. Depending on the area and your risk appetite, you might want to use the lowest amount. So when I do get sold prices, it's providing a price that you'd hope to achieve for the flat based on the average price per square meter in the area, average sold price per square meter. So here I'm using the top because I know if I use the lower ones, it's not going to work. But I'm just trying to see what the figures would look like with the top amount. Okay, so with that in mind, build cost of 527. So that's half of the full build cost for the area. And you got yeah, it looks okay. Yeah. So if you use a top price for everything, then you could offer 201,000. Which is not bad. We've got a contingency of 6k, professional fees 12k. So some of these things will probably be lower. So it does look like a deal if you can find people to purchase the flats. This looks good. It looks good, provided you can get these top figures. What happens if we change to the lower figures? So it's just as easy as this really to make the adjustments. Okay, right. So if you achieve the lower end of the sale prices in that area, then you are the most you can offer for this property will be 108,250 for the pub. Whereas at the upper end is 201,000 roughly, that you can offer. So there is something to be said for this property. There's also the HMO option for 15 units. Now, if you want to do HMO, then you need to ask yourself who's going to stay in the property, who are your tenants likely to be. You'd look around the area for maybe sources of income or jobs and stuff like that, places of employment. In the current climate, do people want to live in HMOs? But either way, there is something to be said for this particular deal. It's worth looking at, and note that the developer's profit is 30%. Industry standard tends to be around 20%. So you can play around with some of these numbers. But the beauty of this tool is that everything you need is at your fingertips. So with that in mind, let's save what we've done here and then go back to our appraisals, and you could do the same for different you could do the same for the rest of these schemes. So service accommodation, flip, house with multiple occupation, new build we know doesn't work, so tear down the building and start again. That wouldn't work. Whether you can have an additional floor for 4 flats, as the vendor is suggesting, is another discussion to be had with the planners, but that's going to be long term. But it seems that the building as it is, well done up and brought to a high standard and achieving the top returns, you will have some leeway to make some money on this. So thank you very much for listening, and happy investing. Until next time.